Hi, my name's Lee. I'm the Cold War prepper. I did some videos, back 8 years ago on prepping and haven't done any for a while. And the reason is because my good friend Herdy Burke, who is a videographer, he did them for me and uploaded them for me on my personal channel. But now I think it's time for me to do a little bit of helping those who are new to prepping. So I've created the Cold War Prepper channel and the Cold War Prepper website, and just want to share a little bit of my experience and my knowledge since I've been doing this. And I started in 1962, in November of 1962, during the Cold War, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. My next door neighbor was the Civil Defense Warden and built a cinder block fallout shelter in the backyard. So as a young, impressionable 11-year-old, I started studying everything I could about prepping and got into it and stayed with it while I was on active duty. Although I did change probably in around 78, 80, I changed from being a primarily hunker down kind of guy to a bug out guy. Well, that fit really well with the military because when you have a permanent change of station moving from one post to another, basically you have a weight limitation. So you cannot be a hunker down hoarder of supplies and with weight limitations every time you move. So it was advantageous to be a bug out type of guy. And then of course, once I retired and moved here to Central Texas, then that kind of changed. And I kept my bug out bag, but became primarily a hunker down type of guy. I know the newer generation doesn't call it hunker down. They prefer to call it bugging in. But to me, that means running away to the place where you already are. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to continue on with what we called it back in the 60s and 70s and just call it hunker down. So I wanted to share with you some of the thoughts and things that I've purchased over the course of the last 2 weeks. Some of this is monthly, some of it's every once in a while, some of it's on a weekly basis. I'll try to let you know as we go along what it is. We'll start off with, this has been in very short supply. This is 30-30, 170 grain power points. This is good for black bear, it's good for deer. I ordered this online probably 6-9 months ago. I ordered 3 boxes, they finally came in. Of course, the irony is that they came in the last week of deer hunting season, so that's not going to do me too much good this year. Fire starting and lighting, found some candles, some 9-hour candles at the dollar store, $1.25 each. So I got 5 of these. That also suits some religious purposes, but we did get some more candles just in case we have a power outage. And of course, here in Central Texas, we did have the great Snowmageddon in February of last year, where we had almost 10 days of no power, and so candles and especially the UVO candelier became very, very handy. Got some long-reach matches at our local grocery store, HEB. We got some extended length fire starters, Scripto. We got those at Sam's Club. Believe it or not, we walked by, my wife and I walked in separately. I went and parked the car after I dropped her off at the entrance. And by the time I got to her, those were at the door as I walked in. So I grabbed a handful, got to her. The only thing she had in the cart was a package of those. So we were thinking alike, and she picked them up for me, and I had to put one back. Then I went to HEB and got some medical supplies. We got some nighttime cold and flu medicine, cough syrup. We got some cough drops, both regular and sugar-free. We got some nighttime severe cough flu medicine. This was running in very short supply, so I would recommend to get this now. I'm not sure how much is going to be on the shelves here in the near future. At the dollar store, we found a fantastic Care US or Care Us wound care kit. This is phenomenal. It's got 4 gauze pads, 2 inch by 2 inch, 2 4x4s, 2 rolls, 1 paper tape roll, 5 non-stick pads, 2x3, 4 non-stick pads, and then adhesive tape. A whole bunch of great supplies, and that's at Dollar Tree for $1.25. When we did the Stop the Bleed training for CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team, they emphasized having as much packing material for wounds as possible. And that's what this gauze is going to be, is packing a wound to stop the bleeding. That's another way you can do it besides some of the things that we're going to be talking about later on. Other purchases online through Walmart. We ordered some Algerson Farms potato slices, and those came in. Then through Amazon, we ordered some freeze-dried meatballs, and those came in. We also got on Amazon some freeze-dried shrimp, which came in. And then I'm a distributor with Thrive Life, and I've had this account. I've been selling Thrive now for maybe 12, 14 years, but I have a monthly thing that comes in the 5th of every month, and so, or the order is placed on the 5th of every month, and it takes about 7 days to get here, but, so the 5th of every month I put in an order, and about the 12th I get it. So this month I got a can of kale, a can of mozzarella cheese, a can of blueberries. These are for my grandsons. They eat them like snacks. A can of chopped spinach, a can of Monterey Jack, and then I forgot to bring them back in, but I also got a can of sausage and a can of diced beef. So that's my Thrive Life order and my freeze-dried foods order for this month. Won't be adding too much more to it. The rest of it's going to be shopping at where we just pick up a couple things at a time when we go shopping. One of the things that I'm really, if you go to my website, you'll see there's a banner up top, and it's quoting John 21, and basically where it's saying Jesus and Peter are having this discourse after Jesus is arisen, and he asks Peter 3 times, Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, you know I do, Lord. And each time, and it's a different verb each time, and there's some nuances in the Hebrew or Aramaic, but basically what Jesus tells Peter is feed my sheep. So one of the things I do as a prepper is I've sent out a letter to all of my neighbors and let them know that we're going to have what I call a nail soup pot. If it really gets bad again, like it did back in February, or even worse. Nail soup originated in World War II in Italy. A downed airline pilot was staying in a barn. He boiled a big pot of water in the barn, and then all the starving Italians came and asked him what he was doing. He said he was making nail soup. They said, what does it taste like? He says, oh no, you can't taste it unless you put something in it. So they brought turnips and radishes and mushrooms and garlic and all this other stuff. And they would add it to the pot, and then they were allowed to take out a dip out of it and see what it tasted like. And everybody thought it was fantastic. Well, in the Army, we do the same thing. Back when I was younger, back in the Vietnam days, we had sea rations, and in the can, you had an entree can. And so we had a first sergeant that put a 5-gallon pot on a Yukon stove, potbelly stove, and we would boil some water. And then if you wanted something out of it, you had to add your entree into the pot and then ladle out that entree size can worth of soup. And so it always changed depending upon what was put in it. So that's what this is for, is it's going to be a starter for one of those nail soups. Bear Creek is a fantastic company. This, I believe, is good for 8 servings. Yeah, 8 servings. But then, so I'm going to ask the neighbors if they would bring a cube, a briquette of charcoal, or some wood, or something where we can keep the pot boiling, and also 1 bottle of water, and then something to add to the soup. So that could be, in this case, it could be some pasta, it could be some chicken bouillon, it could be a can of carrots, it could be a can of chicken, whatever. But you've got to add something to it in order to take something out of it. But that way we'll be able to feed the whole community at least 1 meal a day if we can do something like this on a regular basis. That also supports James chapter 2, verses 14 through 20, where it says, O vain man, dost thou not know that faith without works is dead, being alone? What doth it profit, my brother, if a man is naked, destitute, in need of food and clothing, and you say unto him, Depart, my brother, be filled with the Spirit, go in peace? Notwithstanding, you give him those things which are needed. Dost thou not know that faith without works is dead, being alone? So if you believe like I do, that helping other people during this situation, whatever happens, taking care of your fellow man is going to become extremely important as far as our dignity as human beings. Just recently we picked up a pound of lentils. Lentil soup is fantastic. Get some 16 beans. 16 bean soup is fantastic as well. Got 2 boxes of flat anchovies. We can do a lot of pasta recipes with anchovies, oil, garlic, and some other small basic vegetables. And those can be fantastic pasta servings. Glad to see this is back on the shelves again. Crusties, sourdough bread. They have some flat bread. They have all kinds of different bread mixes. These are fairly easy. You just add water and a packet of yeast and go. So long-term shelving shelf stabilized, and it's fantastic food. As a matter of fact, we used up, because of rotation, everything we had. And so I was bragging to my wife, hey, guess what I found on the shelves again? I probably should have gotten more than just one. We got 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. That goes well with a lot of recipes. We got a can of crab meat. That's going to go well with pasta, linguine, whatever the case might be. Got a can of whole clams for clam chowder. Got a can of Wolf brand chili, of course, here in Central Texas. The only chili is Wolf brand chili. And we even had my mother-in-law ship this to us when we were stationed in Germany because we wouldn't eat any other chili. That, along with chicken a la king from Swanson, either one of these 2 is a meal for at least 2 if you prepare it and then serve it over either noodles or rice. We prefer both of these over rice, but that's each one of those will feed the 2 of us for a complete meal. I also got some fish sauce that goes well with some noodles for stir fry. We got 3 cans of Margaret Holmes triple succotash. This is phenomenal. Strongly recommend it for your prepping needs as well. I got 3 cans of Reed's 3-bean soup. This is difficult to find. 3-bean salad, I'm sorry. This is difficult to find at times. So when I see it, I get it. The same thing with the Margaret Holmes stuff. And that pretty much gets the what we got as far as that. Now, some other things that I got that are necessary. So this is a different realm is we've taken care of the first aid. We've taken care of food. We've got, I drink quinine water, tonic water, because of a nerve condition, and that helps me a lot with controlling the nerves and my some injuries, military injuries. And the doctors prescribed that for me, and it helps an awful lot. But the nice thing about tonic water bottles is as soon as we empty the tonic water, we fill it with regular water. So, and then put them out in the garage, in the refrigerator out in the garage. So we store water that way as well. So some of the other things that have come in, I am enrolled in Father Mike Schmidt's. He coordinated with Jeff Clavens, and Jeff Clavens wrote or composed the Great Adventure Bible. So what he's done is, if you look over here on the tabs, all the tabs have different colors, and each one is a historical time period. For example, this burgundy up at the very front, the first 11 chapters of Genesis, that's all, I'm sorry, the blue, light blue, turquoise, that's all the prehistoric stuff. And then starting with chapter 12, we go into the patriarchs. And so each one of those time periods has a different color code on the Bible. So we're doing this in his class, online class, and today was day 18. But we're reading the whole Bible in 1 year, and it's going to be in time-based, a time-based study. Let me grab my, where is my, there it is. Nope, that's last month's. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, there it is. I see it. Just 1 second. So this morning in our reading, the reading for today was Genesis chapters 35 and 36, Job's chapter 25 and 26, and Proverbs chapter 3. So those were what all we read this morning. Fantastic. I strongly recommend it. Then I also got in a new St. Joseph's Missal. I was using my old one from my elementary school, high school days, but of course that's pre-Vatican II, so not everything's the same. And they have these newsprint missals that are printed monthly that they put in the pews, and you can use those. But you know, it's difficult for me because I have to dog-ear pages and everything else. So I got my own, and of course I've got the regular order of the Mass starts here, and And then I have the daily reading marked it with this tab. So in the Catholic Mass, we actually have 4 scripture readings in every Mass. And so, for example, this last Sunday, it was the second Sunday in Ordinary Time. So the entrance antiphon was the 66th Psalm. The first reading was Isaiah chapter 62, verses 1 through 5. Then we had a responsorial psalm, which was Psalm 96. The second reading was 1 Corinthians 12, verses 4 through 11. And then, of course, we always have a reading from the Gospel. And this one was one of my favorite readings, which is John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, which is the wedding feast at Cana, the first public miracle that Jesus did. And so I got that in. I've got it all set up. I got it tabbed. I got it worked the way I want, so I can flip around and follow everything and read with everything that goes on in the Mass. And very, very happy about that. Then I did get in. I belong to 2 different book clubs. Our parish has a men's book club, and the men's book club is currently reading No Greater Love, which is basically the story of the Passion of the Christ, and this is based off of Luke and John. So we're reading that right now. And then there's an online men's book club that's sponsored by Father Mark Goring, who's from Camp Companions of the Cross. And his reading this month is called Imagining Heaven. So this is a compilation of people who have died and come back to life, and they give their accounts of what they have seen in that transition between life and death and then back to life. And so a whole bunch of stories about reconciliation and views of heaven from people who have come back. So that's kind of what we've got going on. And I would encourage you to visit the website, Cold War Prepper. Probably won't do as this extensive of a, this is what we got this week in preparation for, or in preps, but I'm going to try to do a little bit more focus on recipes, cooking. I want to get an article out as soon as I get my hand out of the cast, because my daughter's wedding anniversary is a week and a half before Christmas, and we went over to babysit so that they could go out for dinner for their anniversary. And when we were leaving, I tripped over my grandson's puppy and fell in the front yard, tore up their Christmas display on the porch, and broke my hand. So hopefully this will come off in the next week or 2, and I can start typing again, and I'll have some more articles for the website. I also want to talk a little bit about water. I want to talk about sanitation. I think one of the most under-discussed things is, what are you going to do with waste if something happens? What are you going to do with your garbage? How are you going to keep the animals away? How are you going to keep the rats away? What are you going to do with human waste, fecal matter and urine? And how are you going to dispose of that? How are you going to avoid cholera, dysentery, typhus, typhoid? All these things that during the Middle Ages wiped out entire populations. So how are we going to handle that in a post SHTF environment? So cooking, water, some first aid ideas. I am not an expert in first aid. I am CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team trained, FEMA trained. Of course, I had a lot of training in the Army. But I will give you what I know and what I can say. And then I'm going to ask you to seek further medical advice on that. Make sure you get James Alton's books, Dr. James Alton and Nurse Amy Alton. They put out a couple fantastic first aid books, but we'll be talking a little bit about that to the limit of my knowledge and not certainly no expertise. I want to talk a little bit about bartering in the future and what that's going to look like. And this is going to be based off of what I've read from Selko, who survived the Bosnian War, and his book is 1 Year in Hell. And then another guy by the name of Furfal, Manny Aguirre, I believe is his name, and he wrote a couple books on surviving the financial collapse in Argentina. So have a whole lot of great plans for the channel, have a whole lot of great plans for the website. So enjoy. Tell me what you're learning, because one thing I know for certain is, now that I've been doing this for over 50 years, I certainly learn something new every day. And people tell me something and I say, you know, I never looked at it that way. So we're all in this together. The important thing is, how are we going to help each other survive? So remember that Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? And Peter responded, you know I do, Lord. And Jesus said, feed my sheep. So whether it's knowledge, whether it's food, whether it's helping your community, no matter what, let's go out there and feed the sheep. So y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.